It's perfect. It's stupid season, and if you're going to be in stupid season, you might as well get to it right away.
So, look, you love chaos. You thrive in chaos. That game was one of the big chaos blenders you could throw a football game into, for goodness sakes. I mean, this is what, if there's nothing else you take away from the entirety of today's show, which will clearly be focused on what the hell happened yesterday in Chicago and around the NFL, week one was glorious in so many different ways. It was awesome. It was a great day on the couch yesterday.
Every game should be played in horrible weather from here on out. There shouldn't be any more domed stadiums. Anytime there's something like, you should change games from Sundays to Fridays if it looks like there's going to be snow on Friday but not on Sunday.
You should seek inclement weather.
Absolutely. The worse, the better.
Well, look, nothing is a greater equalizer than what the hell you just saw. And let me just say with all certainty that we all just watched exactly the same thing, right? Everyone watched the same game, the same broadcast. Maybe you even rewatched it a couple of times. I know I have.
Oh, God, you couldn't get me to do that twice.
Well, somebody around here has to get it done for the good people, and I did it. And the one thing that I can guarantee you is nobody, not a single player, not a single coach on either team has any idea what the hell they just saw. There is not a single data point outside of Eli Mitchell losing the next 2 months, and that is a significant data point, which we will talk about quite a bit today. But outside of the next of Eli Mitchell, there really isn't a single data point from that game that you can take and apply to what you think you might see in the rest of the year. We learned nothing about a team that we had a ton of questions about. We learned nothing. We've learned nothing about this offensive line. We learned nothing about the quarterback. We thought we were learning things about the defense, and then they undid all the things that we thought we were learning with penalties that if you're going to be that good, you just cannot take, and they still took them. So what did we learn there? Nothing. What about the Chicago Bears? Tip of the cap to Justin Fields, who also had, any way you want to measure it, a terrible day. You take away Dante Pettis' 51-yard nobody around me miracle, the Bears do nothing all afternoon, essentially. So even though you want to be mad at the defense, there's still plenty of good defense out there throughout that game. And the offense, I don't know what the hell it is to tell you. There is nothing. And I'm not going to take this right now. I'm going to cut this off right, this Comcast business text. Garoppolo would have won that game. You don't know that either.
No.
You don't know that either. That was the level of conditions, Ray, where anything that you want to assume can no longer be assumed.
But it's not just conditions. We sort of knew that the 49ers offensively were a work in progress. The takeaways from yesterday are twofold. One, the defense had a team that couldn't move the ball and allowed them to score 19 points in the second half. And secondly, Elijah Mitchell is going to make Trey Lance more of a running back than a quarterback, and Deebo Samuel more of a running back than a wide receiver, unless they do something personnel-wise. So those are the takeaways. But in terms of looking at the game itself, no, it was a pie fight. That's all it was. And the best part about the whole day is when Justin Fields takes the knee on the last play, immediately pops up and sprints as fast as he ran the entire day to just hydroplane in the end zone with all of his offensive teammates.
I've seen an awful lot of conditions. I'm from the Midwest. I understand how weather works there. I understand how football fields drain there. I've never seen anything quite like that. I mean, I've been watching football my entire life, and in my entire life, I've never seen anything go down quite like that. And the minute that the Bears had their 9-0 lead, like General Winter helped the Germans beat back Russia in World War II.
Well, slow down here. The Germans didn't beat back Russia. Russia beat back the Germans.
Excuse me. Thank you very much. Let's get that right. Let's get that right.
Otherwise, you've rewritten World War II.
Don't want to do that. We're not going to be rewriting any world wars. But as much as General Winter helped decide a world war, General Downpour helped decide that football game.
There have been games with that kind of weather, but they're usually found in the South, and they're usually found in September rather than November. By November or December, it's not raining like that. But during hurricane season, you can get some of those. But that was impressive, even by most standards.
It was
because it was described on Friday when we looked at the weather report as light rain. That's not light rain in Indonesia.
No, that was absolute sheets of rain, monsoon level, classified like Category 3 level of hurricane bearing down on South Beach. Like that was a pie fight of a weather situation, which really takes any concrete observation that you want to make. Like there are a lot of fans who really want to wake up and plant their flag in a definitive statement about that game. I, as a sports talk show host, feel it is my duty to plant a flag in a definitive statement or two for you, which you can then turn around and use with your friends and, talk amongst yourselves, if you will. I got nothing. I got nothing. I have no definitive statement to be made from that game, and anyone who is in the definitive statement business today is faking it, because there's no way to take away anything from that game as the X marks the spot of what the hell the rest of this year is about to look like.
Again, with the single exception of Elijah Mitchell.
That's a big injury.
Because that changes everything they do for the next 2 months. It just, how often they run, who they run it with, how active they are in the market to try to find another running back. Because even allowing for the fact that Kyle Shanahan has a pretty decent track record at making ordinary guys seem more than ordinary, the market's pretty thin on guys like that right now. And I don't know that Jeff Wilson is going to do what Elijah Mitchell did.
I don't think he is at all. But here's the thing. I can't cast any grand doubts on Jeff Wilson because the way that he was running yesterday isn't the way I should project him to run in my mind's eye in any other game he might ever play in his life.
No, there's nothing about the style of yesterday's game that has any validity for any other game. You're right. But the takeaway is, okay, you're a team that likes to run the ball. Now we've just taken your best running back away for 2 months. What are you going to do about it?
I thought that there's an old expression, you want to make hay while the sun is shining. Well, there wasn't much sunshine, but there were moments in that game where the rain wasn't as big of a deal. Now, looking back hindsight, you can say, well, the worst rain came in the fourth quarter, so you shouldn't save yourself for the fourth quarter. You better get it done early. I think with the pleasure of hindsight, you can look at that early Deebo Samuel fumble, which felt like, hey, bad outcome, but there's still a lot of football game left. I think that was a critical point. There were too many penalties defensively on third down to keep a Bears drive alive. Again, the best offensive weapons that the Bears had all day were General Downpour and the 49ers making mistakes defensively on third down. That's how the Bears move the ball, more than the Bears will against the 49ers move the ball. We have so much to get into today. I can say this definitively. Talanoa Hufanga had a great game. He had a great game. As good of a game as anybody played in the NFL yesterday. I mean, he was up there with some of the best performance that the league got. He was spectacular. But was he really that good, or were guys slipping and right in front of? That's how much of a mosh pit that thing was. Someone wants to say this one's on Kyle Shanahan. Well, look, I don't think Kyle Shanahan had a particularly good afternoon or dealt with information it was coming back to him in real time. There is something particularly odd about the guy who is completely married to the god of ball control, not being able to control a football game when he's got a 10-point lead. Like, that is weird. That he does lose way too many games with 10-point leads established in the second half. But here we are again, And I'm going to tell you right now, as disappointing as that was, everyone who's wanting to frame this as, that's a game you cannot lose. Because of those conditions, the game you cannot lose turns into the game that you might lose, probably faster than anything else. And that's what happened to the 49ers yesterday. God, we have so much to talk about.